be really honest with you, I'm not feeling it today. I'm feeling really unconfident. I'm feeling really frustrated. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just feeling very unseen. I have wanted something of my own in a career, or just a purpose for a really long time, and it's just never really materialized for me. And I feel like I had a lot of promise when I was younger, and it's only been a few weeks doing the YouTube thing, but it is really hard to be doing YouTube and spending all the hours on it, and you just get like so little traction at the beginning. It just takes hours and hours and hours of your time, and then applying for jobs and being over a year, almost a year and a half into that process, and just feeling like you're just like throwing mud against the wall. You just keep putting yourself out there, and there's just not a lot coming back. So yeah, I'm feeling like this isn't the best day to tackle this bake, but it's the day that I really have to do it because it's going to take all day. It's going to be a lot of skills that I don't feel comfortable doing, which is why I wanted to go through this whole process anyway. And that's what happens when you push yourself, you know, that you feel scared and frustrated. So this isn't the best headspace to start this really long process, but yeah, here I am. Hey, welcome back. This is going to be the Showstopper challenge from season 5, episode 2, Biscuit Week, which is cookies. It's a 3D cookie structure. I've decided to do a mountain scene, a summer mountain scene with a little stream and some wildflowers and trees. And I've never really done anything like this. Like, I've made cutout cookies before, but I've never made a structure, not on my own. And I'm thinking of doing 3 doughs, sugar cookies and shortbread. I didn't want to do gingerbread. I just wasn't really feeling gingerbread. It's not Christmas time or anything like that. And then I'm going to be doing at least 2 types of icing, royal icing with different flavors. And then I want to do a buttercream and try to do buttercream flowers. And again, like, that's a new skill for me as well. Not new, but it's not a good skill. It's a skill I have to keep working on. So we are going to get started with the sugar cookie dough. I wanted to do some fun flavors. I'm going to do a rosemary shortbread, which I love. I've had that many times, with different kinds of icings that have freeze-dried berries and cherries in them to add some different kind of flavors. And the sugar cookies are going to be lavender pepper. I asked ChatGPT about different fun sugar cookie recipes, and I was asking my kids, have you ever had some really unique flavors? And I just wasn't finding anything. And then for whatever reason, I was thinking maybe I could do lavender, and I'd like to do something a little different. And I wonder what lavender and pepper might taste like with the sugar. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. We'll see how it goes. Okay, wish me luck, folks. Gonna get started.
Let's do a shallow dive into the type of cookies that are best for these type of structures. Cookie dough without a leavening agent like baking powder or baking soda is considered best for building structures like 3D displays because it creates a dense, sturdy, and stable product that retains its shape. By excluding leaveners, the dough does not release gases that create air pockets, preventing the structure from rising, spreading, or warping in the oven. The lack of air pockets results in a very dense, tough, and dry cookie, often similar to shortbread, that can support weight without breaking. Leaveners can cause uneven, wavy, or bubbled surfaces. A leavener-free dough stays flat, allowing walls and roofs to sit flush together. Because these cookies are dense and dry, they are less prone to becoming soft or stale quickly and making them better for long-term display. On this episode of Making Every Great British Show Bake, Teresa will be making the Showstopper Challenge 3D cookie scene. It is a mountain with trees, a stream, and wildflower bushes.
Just starting off, I already ruined like 2 pounds of butter because I was trying to soften it, and I put it in warm water to soften it faster, and apparently it was too warm and they melted in the water and it's this big huge mess. That was really unhelpful. I just have this feeling, like, what if I just don't do this? Like, what if I just don't do this challenge? Just quit, because I feel like a mule that you keep like pulling and pulling and pulling and it just like wants to stop. Like, that's what I feel like right now. I just don't feel like it, but I'm going to push through and get this done. All right, let's do it. So my first dough is going to be a lavender pepper sugar cookie. As far as I understand it, in order to use sugar cookies for structures, you need them to not spread. So I did find a no spreading cookie, and I will put that recipe below. It looks like you don't use a leavener like a baking soda, so that's gonna be helpful to help the structure to stick up, to stand up. So we'll go ahead and get started on that right now. The first thing we're gonna do is get our dry ingredients together. Okay, well, I don't have enough cornstarch, and I know I don't have enough powdered sugar. I've already been to the store once today. Guess I'm going back. So, yeah. See you soon. Bye. I'm back from the store. I got powdered sugar and cornstarch. I'm gonna try to push through this super bad mood that I'm in. It just feels like a lot to do. I've just been like thinking about this bake, I think, for weeks now, and then I already just had a tiring weekend and was feeling not very confident, and so yeah, I think it's just like all coming together for me, but I'm gonna work on these dry ingredients. Okay, I'm gonna cream my butter and sugar together, and I also forgot to put salt in there, so I will put some salt in there, and we'll move on to our next steps. Our butter and sugar has creamed together. I'm then gonna add 1 egg at a time and some vanilla. And then I'm going to sift the flour, the dry ingredients into our mixture. I'm then gonna separate my dough because I wanna do some plain sugar cookies, and then I also wanna do the lavender peppercorn mixture as well. So I'm also going to take my lavender and my peppercorn and get them in a grinder and get that going. Well, I was just reading this recipe, and it actually suggests using a whisk attachment instead of the paddle. And then I'm wondering, I think I always use a paddle when I'm making cookies, and I wonder if that's what I've been doing wrong. So I'm gonna switch this out. This is on a paddle right now, and I'll switch it out to a whisk when we add our eggs and the vanilla. I guess maybe add my paddle back before I add the flour in. But yeah, I don't know, let's experiment. Let's see what happens with that. Up to plain mixture. I'm going to take about 1/3 of it out and roll it out and then get that chilling, and that is going to be my little stream that I'm going to do, and maybe some other little bits of like stabilizers to help all the structures stand up. Then I'm going to add my lavender pepper mixture and get that dough rolled out and chilling. This recipe only calls for it to chill for 20 minutes. I don't really know why. I looked at a ton of different recipes. Some of them were 2 hours, some 1 hour. This one's only 20 minutes, which I appreciate. Okay, I took a break to get some lunch and let my first dough rest. I'm gonna get my baking sheets together and then start rolling out my doughs into my shapes. So again, the plain dough is going to be my little stream or my little river, and the lavender pepper dough is going to be my mountains. Better. I ate some food, maybe that helped. And I just have to keep moving anyway. With all these things, all these goals, if they were easy to do, then everybody would be doing them, but they aren't easy. They're actually very uncomfortable, and I think I just feel uncomfortable. I just feel pushed, and that just means I need to push harder. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my second cookie, which is gonna be a Rosemary Shortbread. That's what my bushes are gonna be with my wildflowers, and then also my trees. I'm gonna start chopping up my rosemary and then getting my dough together. mess. Like it's, oh my gosh. It's so much. I'm going to divide this dough into two, and then it's going to chill for a half an hour or so before I cut it out. I was also putting the other dough, switching those around and putting them in the oven. After I get these going, I think then I'll start on my different frostings, and I'm going to attempt to make some buttercream flowers that I can put on my bushes to look like wildflowers. So yeah, here we go. To clean up my mess. I have all of my cookies in the oven, or they've come out. I need to start on my different types of icing and frosting, but I made a huge mess. Like, yeah. I feel like this is what my brain actually feels like. Like in here, it's like this right now. So I'm hoping that if I clean it, that then my brain will feel better. And then I'm going to start on the buttercream frosting for the stiff flowers that I want to make for wildflowers, and then move on to the royal icing. All right, gonna do that.
I decided to turn this into a two-parter. This is part A of this bake, and the next part will be part B, and you'll have to come back to see what happens with this bake to see how it turns out. It was just getting too long. Please like, comment, and subscribe to help me grow my small channel. The engagement really helps me, and I do really appreciate it. I hope that this has been inspiring to you, and that you also choose to do hard things and push through when you really don't feel like it. There was a lot of growth that I experienced in this whole process, and knowing that I could go from the beginning to the end, it ended up being about 8.5 hours, and I was actually really proud of myself at the end. But it was a struggle. I was that mule with my hoofs in the sand for many, many, many hours of it. I hope that you have an absolutely great day, and you do choose to challenge yourself with something today or tomorrow or some other time. Come back. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.